Somebody
I knew
just
you'd see
reminded
that.
me to record. I appreciate it. All right. We also want to thank the SBDC and the BBB. They are sponsors for our event every week, and during the live event, we have coffee cups that they do sponsor us. We have a couple great presenters today. Dr. Max Pohl from Balance Chiropractic and Nina Elliot. We're going to be going through their presentations today. And I really want to thank the warehouse. Over the last year, the warehouse has provided us an amazing space to be able to present, to be able to meet and everything else with the challenges they've been going through. So if you get a chance, they do take out right now, and I think they are looking at a plan right now how to reopen and get back up to speed like everybody else. So please visit them. All right, let me look at my list here and make sure I have not forgot anything. Our logistics coordinator gives me a checklist to go through, so I think I have covered everything. And she's shaking her head. Very much appreciate it. And let me go to, all right. So Samantha, I am not sure why you're up as the speaker full view. We need to make sure. Max, will you say something, please? Unmute and say.
Testing, testing.
There we go. Okay, I just want to make sure it switches to you. Okay, our first speaker is Dr. Max Pohl from Balance Chiropractic. He's going to give us a little bit about his business and an update. He has presented before, so this will be an update, a little bit what's happening with his business. Dr. Max, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys first so much for having me at 1 Million Cups. Due to unpopular belief, this is actually my first time presenting. So I have had my associate, Dr. Nesto, present before, but this is my first time actually being here with you all. So without further ado, I know we have a short amount of time. I am going to tell a wonderful story with a wonderful slideshow. And just like any good story, it always starts off with a beautiful girl, right? So back in 2012, a wonderful young lady by the name of Paige Nicole Stewart, and we very quickly fell into love. Had an exciting couple of years where we were full of possibilities, full of excitement, full of connection, and this is when I started chiropractic school. Now, right after starting chiropractic school, Paige had a head injury. She slipped, fell, hit her head on a patch of cement concrete, and at first it wasn't a big deal. So Paige grew up in a farm town in Missouri. So she got herself up, she dusted herself off, and she just kept on moving with what she needed to do. And we thought that everything was okay. Until about 6 months later, she started to develop shoulder pain, shoulder tightness that turned into neck pain. The neck pain eventually transferred into like chronic migraines and headaches. And it started off subtly at first. So, she noticed that she couldn't perform her tasks at home as well. And eventually she couldn't perform her tasks at the office as well. And over time, these headaches and migraines became incredibly slowing her down. They stopped her in her tracks. And if you could imagine being a high-functioning 23-year-old that used to run track and exercise and lift weights and move and do all these really great things, and all of a sudden having that ability to function taken away from you, how would that make you feel? The neck and shoulder and headache pain eventually turned into something like heart palpitations. And the heart palpitations came with anxiety. And with the anxiety, she had a really hard time actually even catching her breath, actually breathing. So, we're all sitting here, most of us are sitting here at, mile-high altitude. I want you to imagine how that would affect your life, not being able to take a deep breath, not being able to go out and perform social events because of the anxious feelings that you get whenever you interact outside of, your very small bubble of life. One of the final things that she started to notice after her head injury and after about 6 months of things slowly getting worse was food sensitivities. And so for about 4 years, Paige was only able to eat about 4 or 5 different things. So meats, vegetables, anything besides that would send her into a terrible inflammatory state where her knees, her neck, her elbows, her shoulders, everything would be incredibly inflamed to the point where she was unable to actually walk up our flight of stairs when we lived in chiropractic school in Port Orange, Florida. And so she lost her health, and we lost a lot of our relationship with that. And if anyone's ever been through a health issue with a significant other, you know that when that person hurts, you hurt just as much, because you feel helpless, you feel like your hands are tied behind your back, and it's really difficult to guide that person and guide yourself towards the life that you want to live. So we did all of the normal things. You know, we went from medical doctor to medical doctor. We went from specialist to specialist, and they performed test after test, from blood tests to MRIs to CT scans to x-rays to really anything you can imagine. And mind you, at this time, I am a practicing chiropractor, and we're taught natural medicine in chiropractic school, but what we were doing for her, you know, adjusting her 2 or 3 times a week wasn't working. She would feel better for hours or maybe a day if we were lucky, and then those secondary conditions or those symptoms associated with her head injury would very quickly come back. So, you know, she was recommended to take medication. She was recommended to have injections to numb the pain and to cover up the issues. And she was hurting so bad that, believe it or not, even though I was a chiropractor at the time practicing natural medicine, I wanted her to just feel better. And so I suggested that she would take some of these things. But throughout the 4 years of heck, we call it, you know, she kept saying that the medication is not what heals me. My body has the power to heal. And we didn't really know what that means. But eventually, somebody, a good friend, introduced us to what we call foundational correction. And so essentially the missing link between Paige's health was the brain-body connection. So her brain wasn't getting blood. Her body was not able to properly communicate with her brain, including her stomach, including her joints, including all different portions of her body and her nervous system. And so when we found out that her, you know, her top bone of the neck, also known as atlas, was shifted, then that's where she started to get her health back. And so what we've done is we've essentially taken her structure from abnormal to normal. Picture on the left is where she started, picture on the right is where she was most recently. And when we do that, we've quite literally plugged her brain into her body, allowing her brain to communicate, and that is how we have found ourselves here. So, since then,
you saw that, Brianna. I have a first question, if that's okay, organizers.
Great job.
Yes,
so
please.
before you start, Samantha, Max, can you stop your screen sharing so you go back to full screen? I appreciate it.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
So my question would be, you mentioned Florida multiple times. What brought you to Colorado Springs?
Great question. We came to Colorado Springs specifically for the practice that we currently own and operate. So Balance Chiropractic was started back in 2011 by a really phenomenal doctor named Scott Gamm. And when we first found this type of treatment for Paige, it was because we were out here on vacation and someone said, hey, you should check this practice out. I've heard really great things. They help people with in an unusual way. And once she started to get well, that's when we decided to move out here. I became an associate with Dr. Gamm. And eventually he decided to move back home and sell us the practice due to health issues within his own family.
Okay, I've got a question, and maybe I just missed this part. So did you start going into looking at chiropractic care as a solution because of Paige's issues, or was this something you were already kind of exploring? Because I know you have a history of just being an athlete and physical and that kind of stuff. What got you into looking, you know, to this as a solution?
Great question, Brandy. So I was already in chiropractic school when Paige had her injury. I got into chiropractic after I shadowed physical therapy, occupational therapy, orthopedic. I was doing personal training, and I found that chiropractic gave people the best results in the least amount of time. And so that's where I decided to focus my energy. But that was traditional chiropractic. And so when Paige was going through her health journey, we'll call it, the traditional manipulation and the traditional form of chiropractic is what she received, but that is not what got her well.
I love the fact that it actually worked out to your advantage, already studying that, and then having an issue that you could personally tie that back into what you're educating yourself with. So very cool.
Yeah, going through this, one of my favorite quotes has been, "Life doesn't happen for us, it happens, or it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us." And I think Anthony Robbins said that originally. And so it has been very serendipitous, but overall it has been a very powerful journey, a great one. So.
All right, Max, I think one of our other coordinators, Rihanna, has a question.
I do. Hi, Max. Thanks for the great story. It was great to hear your journey. Tell us, how is Paige today? I hope it ends with a happy ending.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm great.
She's sitting upright. That's a good sign.
It looks like she's doing well. Is that your little cue board there too, Max?
That's the honey-do list, Bob.
Oh.
No, she, don't get me wrong, with any sort of health journey, it's not a linear progression. So many people think like when I have this surgery or when I go see this chiropractor or I do my physical therapy or whatever, that it's point A to point B. And I would be lying if I said that it was all sunshine and rainbows. It has been work, and there have been some ups and some downs, and thankfully has been way more ups than downs. So hasn't always been perfect, but so much better than it was. So
Fantastic.
I'm happy to hear that.
Well, Max, I've got one. I mean, this, 1 million cups is really about, the intent of it is to highlight entrepreneurs, startups, those businesses that are really kind of getting started. And so tell us a little bit about, how do you see yourself as a doctor in a chiropractic business, as an entrepreneur? Talk a little bit about the challenges you've had. You had an established practice, but tell us a little bit about the entrepreneur journey that you've encountered in being a doctor in Colorado Springs and doing that. Talk a little bit about that.
absolutely. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint or perspective, the type of chiropractic that we perform at Balanced Chiropractic is unlike anything that most people have ever heard about. And so whenever I have a meeting with somebody, or whenever there's a new patient in our office, or whenever, I get the wonderful opportunity to speak to beautiful people such as yourselves, I am quite literally introducing a foreign idea, a foreign concept, something that people have never ever heard of before, and trying to make it mentally digestible, trying to make it understandable and relatable towards that person, so that they understand how what we do could possibly affect them or their loved ones that are going through health issues.
Fantastic.
Along with that, if you don't mind me kind of tacking onto that, as we go through, COVID-19, I know that you originally asked about some updates that we've been doing, Bob, and I have those prepared too. Is it okay if I share my screen one more time really quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So with coronavirus, with COVID-19, I've heard a lot of people say pivot. And with our type of,
and that seems to be the word right now, is pivot, right? Everybody's pivoting.
Exactly. And not that that's a bad thing, with us, it's all done by hand, it's interpersonal. So we need that face-to-face contact. Obviously we are taking all the precautions to be as cleanly, as hygiene friendly as possible for each and every person that walks through our doors. But besides that, I don't consider this a pivot, but I think it's something really exciting that we've taken into consideration, is how many people have overshopped for food in the past couple months. Yeah. And so how many people have also, lost their form of income, or lost their stability, or have gone through tough times, And so with that, we recently had a really great idea to put on a food drive to benefit families in Colorado Springs that have lost their income or have come upon hard times with coronavirus. So we have also, donated our van, you could say, out to the public for if anybody needs to move large donation items, anything of the sort where maybe we can be of help in a public service manner. We're putting ourselves out there in that way also, not just to benefit us, but to help the greater Colorado Springs community. So that's one of the, the big changes that we've created, or that we've kind of come across. Along with that, we've really just been trying to preach a positive, healthy message. So Dr. Nesto and I, a lot of you know him. He's a phenomenal chiropractor, one of my best friends. And what we've been doing since all of this started is our best to psychologically remain healthy, to psychologically remain strong. I mean, as we look at some of the statistics from COVID-19, people are becoming, there's more incidences of domestic violence and child abuse and pretty much anything that you can imagine. And so we've regularly gone to our Facebook Live platform and really just tried to communicate, like, hey, what can you do today to make yourself better than yesterday? How can you take this COVID-19 and turn it into something positive for you and your family? And so we've had a really great response from that. And it's been really fun to hear some of the stories of how sad people were before, and then they somehow saw what we did on Facebook and have figured out, oh my gosh, I haven't painted in 10 years. I used to be an artist. I've been sad for so long. Maybe if I get back to the things that I used to love, I'll be happier again. And it's just really powerful to hear some stories like that.
Wow. Wow. Very cool. All right. Looks like we've got a couple Facebook questions. Mac, go ahead.
Hi there, Dr. Max. So this first question comes from Bernadine Manning. She asks, what has the current situation meant for your practice, and how are you moving forward with things opening up?
Awesome. Thank you, Bernie. And hi. Let's see. So what it meant for our practice is we completely shut down for 2 whole weeks. We reopened for about halfway for 2 weeks, and then as recently as last Monday, we've been fully operational again, which is really a breath of fresh air. We have been very fortunate throughout all of this. My mom taught me to be frugal, and so we've very fortunately been able to keep on all of our staff and employees throughout COVID-19, throughout the full shutdown. Everybody's been able to stay on payroll, and nobody's had to file for unemployment or anything like that, which I'm very thankful for. But besides that, it's been kind of what we already talked about, trying to figure out what message we want to put out there. How do we want to help the community guide themselves through this as we are together but separate? And what sort of impact can we make, from behind the computer screen, as one might say.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. So I've got another one from, looks like Jeffrey. Jeff, are you on?
Yes, sir.
All
so
right.
You were mentioning that you work a lot with Atlas and Axis, excuse me, there in the spine. Do you work on the entire spine the way a traditional chiropractor would, or do you focus just on the neck?
Great question, Jeff. So the mixed answer, actually. We specifically only put hands and only focus on C1 and C2, so the upper bones of the neck, because those are the bones closest to your brain. And what does your brain control? Your everything. And so, a lot of patients, a lot of people seek help from our office after they've tried traditional chiropractic or physical therapy, maybe surgery, maybe injections, who knows. And a lot of those complaints that people come in for actually are lower body complaints, whether it's low back pain or sciatica or numbness and tingling in the lower extremities. If the brain-body connection shifts, it oftentimes doesn't allow the brain to properly communicate towards something below that. And so could that be nerves and organ systems in the lower body? Absolutely, but we never specifically contact those areas. Our focus as foundational chiropractic specialists is really just in the upper neck. So great question. And by the way, we do that, Jeff, without ever twisting, popping, or cracking. So we gently guide it back into position using 4 objective measurements that all have a range of normal and abnormal, or healthy and unhealthy, to 1, use those measurements as whether or not you're a good candidate, and 2, to track the progress using those measurements.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Well, and Max, and we're going to come back to the business side of this, right? You're very successful. It looks like you've got, I love what you said is you were frugal. You were able to keep your folks on, your staff on, you're now looking at opening back up and ramping back. Let's look a year down the road, or what does your business look like? Are you scaling? Are you maintaining? What's going to be the status of your business here in Colorado Springs, say a year to 2 years from now?
That is a really great question, Bob. I'm going to have to go to the business plan for that. No, I mean, our goal is sustainable growth. So many businesses, they have a great product and people are aware of it. And then all of a sudden they lose quality. They lose that interpersonal touch that really brings the people in the first place. And my goal is to do just the opposite of that. I really do plan on being a part of the Colorado Springs community for the next 20 years, 30 years, as long as my hands still work. And so with that, in the next year, I want to just really add another layer towards what we're already doing, maintain really great interpersonal relationships, maintain really great community outlook, and being able to help the community while growing our practice and being able to help more people.
Fantastic. That sounds, and that's, as we're coming out of this, we're seeing, of course, some businesses will never open again. Some businesses are pivoting, right? Maybe a different business model, a different thing. Some are doing better than what they've done before. And I look at it as from a standpoint of, what was, what is, and what will be. So you talk a little bit about you close down, you really but I'm taken as a doctor's office, you were doing that anyway, right? I mean, you ran probably a pretty clean operation before COVID. Anything different that, besides of course the mask and stuff we're going to see as the outside, but are you seeing anything different that you've had to do on top of what you were already doing as a doctor's office, as a medical office?
Great question also. And I think the answer is honestly not much. We maintain really great cleanliness as far as tables go and things that people use. I guess the biggest things that we've had to conform to is asking our clients and our patients to wear the masks, to wear the gloves, not because we're too concerned about contracting anything. Health comes from within, right? It doesn't come from without. And thankfully, myself and all of our staff, we try to do our best to take really great care of the temple that we have. But at the same time, a lot of our patients, since we deal with brain-body connection, are immunocompromised. And so I think the biggest change really is just reinforcing to the patients that we already have, like, hey, would you mind wearing the mask? Would you mind wearing the gloves? We know that that's the general requirements or asks that the government has set forth. And so most of our patients have been doing a phenomenal job with that. And our patients that have immunocompromised conditions are incredibly thankful for that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we've got one more question before our special question. So Rihanna, did you have one?
I do. I always find it interesting when people acquire or purchase a business, and you kind of took on a double whammy of moving into a new community and purchasing a business. So kudos to you. That takes a lot of courage to do. What was the toughest hardship and how did you overcome being new to the community and purchasing a business?
Well, great question. So this community, I don't think there's one like it. When I say that we were met with open arms, like that's a downplay of it, I guess you could say. So, getting into the Colorado Springs community, getting hooked up with the right people was really just something where it serendipitously happened, one step after the other, which was awesome. For anybody out there listening who has or is thinking about purchasing a business, some of the stressors about that were really digital for us, trying to track down for example, the logons to the Facebook group or the passwords for this and some of the little things, some of the little details that a lot of people maybe misplace or don't keep as good of tabs on. as maybe they would. So, fortunately, it was a very smooth transition. The previous physician that was here, the previous doctor that was here, stayed on for about 6 months, and just kind of, helped with the transition there, which was phenomenal. I would highly recommend something like that also. But the toughest part was really just figuring out how to get into the systems, if you will. So other than that, Colorado Springs community was phenomenal. If I could come back and do it again, I would 10 times over.
Yeah, we hear that a lot about the Colorado Springs community as a relationship, not a transaction-based community. So you've done a really good job with that. All right, so our special question, Sam, go ahead.
All right. So what can we as a Colorado Springs community do to support you?
You're already doing it. To support our business as a Colorado Springs community, keep being open, keep being excited as we go through the times of coronavirus and COVID-19. I want everybody to just be logical, gather your information from not just one source, but multiple sources, and percolate it down using what's in between your two ears to think whether it's logical or not. And if we can all do that, then our business will continue to flourish. Everyone else's business will continue to flourish, and we'll keep on the happy route that Colorado Springs was on a couple months ago.
Fantastic. And I think, I think we're on that path. I think we're going to see that. And I think we're going to see businesses come out better then. And I think we're going to see the community come out in a better status than when we went in, which is my hope. Absolutely. Well, Dr. Max, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I know your contact information is in the Facebook post. So folks, reach out if you have any questions for Dr. Max on there. And thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much for having me.
So I want to turn it over now to Joe, one of our coordinators, Joe Locke, for any kind of community announcements. Joe?
Good morning, everybody, and out there in 1 Million Cups land. For today, we've got 3 events. The first one is this afternoon, noon to 1, will be the Tri-Lakes. Ooh, can't talk this morning. Must be too much coffee. Tri-Lakes Chamber Business After Hours. Now, it's during the middle of the day, so I don't know if business after hours is right, but that's what they're calling it. It's from noon to 1 today, and you can get all that information on both our 1 Million Cups webpage. Thanks, Brandy, for posting that on Facebook, as well as the Tri-Lakes Chamber. And that's open to everybody. And then tomorrow morning, 7:30 to 9, Tri-Lakes Chamber is also holding a breakfast. And that is members only. So you can sign up for that off the Chamber website. And then Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce tomorrow from 11:30 to 1 has a Chamber Connect luncheon, and the topic is safer at work, mitigating employer liability as you begin to open. So a lot of good topics out there, a lot of good information for everybody. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Fantastic.
Back over to you.
Thanks. Rihanna, I see you have one.
I do. The Pikes Peak SBDC Small Business Development Center has been at the forefront of this COVID crisis. Keep in contact with them. They have just implemented a Friday lunch series. So mark off on your calendar every single Friday, 11:30 to 1. Make yourself a sandwich and join the SBDC for some super helpful information, including this coming Friday, they've got Recovery and Resilience Navigating Online Sales, which will be super helpful for all of us. And next Friday is Top 5 Ways to Stay Resilient, and the great topics keep coming. So I'll go ahead and we'll get the link to these registrations posted in the comments below. Make sure that you register and participate.
Fantastic. Yes, great programs. And also, if you have not subscribed to our email service, please do that. And we'll post the link here after this is over for you. That way you'll get updates as we send emails out every week on our presenters and also any special announcements. So, having said that, our second presenter is Nina Elliot from Harmonizing Wellness Institute. Nina, are you there?
I am.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. It's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Bob. Hi, everybody. My name is Nina Elliot, and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, living now in Colorado Springs. I actually own two businesses, Transformational Property Solutions and Harmonizing Wellness Institute. And today I want to share just about Harmonizing Wellness Institute and my business journey with that. So I'm going to take you back to when I was 12. My best friend and I started doing massage on each other's backs before going to bed, and it was always a battle of who got to receive last because it felt so good before we went to bed. So I've been massaging since I was 12, and finally at the age of 33 I decided to actually go to school for it and figure out what I was supposed to be doing when I was massaging my friends. I had gone to college, gotten a degree in German and Russian. I got a job with a corporate international company doing training and project management, which I loved. But when I got laid off, I decided to go to massage full time. I worked at several different locations. I worked in the gyms, I worked in hospice, I worked in a spa or a salon. But through a couple of years of working at these different locations, I discovered that I really needed to go on my own and do my own thing so I could really do the work that I was called to do. So I decided that I had two passions. One was teaching and one was healing. So that's what I built my business on, teaching people how to get out of pain and then doing the hands-on or in-person work with massage and energy work, helping them get out of pain. This was really important for me. Again, in working these different locations, I realized that I really love helping people get out of pain because it was so incredible to see somebody come in pain, do the work, feel changes in their body, and see them leave really transformed, you know, not in pain or feeling just much better and having an impact in their life that way. And I know that that impacts not only them, but also their family and their loved ones because it impacts how you relate to people. So I help people holistically. I believe that we are four parts: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And generally, chronic pain, if you've had it for a long time, if it comes and goes, has components in all of those that need to be addressed in order to resolve the pain. So I had a good practice going on in Baltimore. And then something amazing happened last year. I asked a woman out in March. We ended up getting engaged in June and married in August here in Colorado Springs. So yes, thank you. Thank you. My lovely wife has been in Colorado Springs for 20 years. And so we decided to get married here and that I would move here. I actually love nature and had just decided last January that I needed to move someplace with more nature. And funny as it is, ever since I was a kid, I always said the only other place I would live in the US would be Colorado. And she lived here. So it was kind of a no-brainer. But the thing was that we got married in August and then I moved in September. And so it was starting business over again from scratch. I kind of thought this was going to be easy. You know, she was connected. It's really community oriented. I've been in a coaching program learning how to do talks and events and programs and things. But it hasn't been as easy as I expected. So I have been doing free 2-hour workshops, vision board workshops, yoga classes, meditation classes, Facebook Lives. I have a Facebook group, events, and special content. But I'm still having a challenge getting butts in seats, as we call it, getting the attendance, getting visible so that I can have a thriving practice. And so that's what today I'm looking to help Colorado Springs community get out of pain. That's my goal. And I'm here to teach you, and those that you love how to tap into that inner physician and connect to the healing power within. I've really loved it here. I live in the canyon, surrounded by the trees and in the mountains. So it's been really great. And I am just looking forward to getting to share my gift and help the community get out of pain and live that active life that I know everybody here wants. You don't move to Colorado Springs unless you're interested in nature and being active out there. So that's my goal. And I think that's all I got to share. So thank you. Are there any questions?
Welcome to Colorado Springs and congratulations. So I'm going to take the first question because you said you have 2 businesses.
Yes.
And as an entrepreneur, right, focus tends to be one of our greater challenges. And I'm kind of hearing you say that through some of the things. Seems like, you've kind of got a little bit of a shotgun approach with one business, but you also have another. So how do you balance both businesses being productive or successful?
Yeah. And that is a challenge. And so I made the choice when I moved here to leave the real estate business kind of on the side for a bit so that I could get into the community, learn the neighborhoods, the area, the people, and figure out how I can work that. So it's definitely a balance of scheduling. Luckily, networking is important for both businesses. So as I go to networking events, I'm looking for 2 things, those that are interested in the wellness and that I can partner with on that field, but also those in the real estate field, contractors and then agents and things like that. And then otherwise it's just scheduling throughout the week that I have a couple hours, a couple days a week to do real estate and just focus on that. And then, I have my schedule for the wellness business.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Who has another question?
I did.
Sam?
I was going to ask, yes, where are you located? I'm guessing you have a brick and mortar. We can go there, right?
Yes, I actually have an office downtown. It's on the corner of Cascade and Willamette. It's a great, also a community office. The building's called the Nexus. So I was excited to be able to get this office just even within a couple of weeks of moving here. So the Nexus in Cascade and Willamette.
Fantastic. Jeff, I see you have a question.
I do. You mentioned that you teach yoga. Are you teaching in-person classes right now?
I was teaching in person when COVID hit and we got shut down, and I did 1 or 2 online, but then I lost my audience. So I haven't restarted them yet. The building that I'm in doesn't have the community rooms open at the moment. And so when I restart them, I haven't decided yet when to restart them, whether it will be in person or online again.
Fantastic. Well, so let me think how to put this. So I'm hearing you're doing, again, this business is Harmonized, right? Are there certain modalities that you work with inside of this Wellness Institute? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I see the person as a whole being, that the physical symptoms have other, they may have physical causes, and they also may have emotional, mental, or spiritual causes. And so I have modalities that work in all of these arenas. So on the massage side, I do 2 therapeutic methods called myofascial release, and the other is called manual lymphatic drainage. On the mental and emotional side, I do different forms of energy work. So one is called emotional freedom technique, or tapping, where we tap on the endpoints of different meridians in the body and energy channels to clear blockages. And I also have a system called Time Waver, was developed by a German quantum physicist. And it's a machine, a system that will access your energy fields, and we can see what's going on, what's out of balance, and what you need to come back into balance. And so it sends you the energy you need to come into balance. And then I also teach the meditation and yoga, and I do a couple other forms of energy techniques as I see they're needed with clients. But those are the main ones that I work with, so that we address everything that's going on in the person to help heal holistically.
Okay. Looks like Mac, you've got your hand up for a question.
Yes, we have a Facebook question, and this one comes from Suzette Kurtz. She says, what is the actual address of your office?
Oh, yes. Hi, Suzette. Thank you. It's 525 North Cascade. 525 North Cascade. And again, the building name is the Nexus.
It's Next Us, right? Isn't that where is it next? Is it next?
Nextus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it 2 words or 1? I always get confused about that building, because I've heard Next Us, and then you just said Nexus, so I don't know which it is.
It's 2 words, but put together. So they capitalize the N and they capitalize the U.
Okay.
But they write it together. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Brandy, you've got your hand up. You've got a great question, I'm sure.
I do. So it's really cool to hear about all the different avenues that you have as far as treatment goes. It sounds like you can help people on a wide scale. What is the type of ideal client that you're really looking for right now?
Yeah, so my ideal client is somebody, so men, women, or children. I worked with everybody, who's really just not gotten the results that they want from traditional medicine, Western medicine, and pharmaceuticals, and they're ready to try an alternative. So mostly my niche client are people who are in chronic pain or have a chronic illness. Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, chronic migraines. It can also be those sports injuries, cancer or surgery recovery, accident recovery, PTSD. But generally they're dealing with something that's either recurring or long-term. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff, looks like your hand's up.
Yes, sir. Nina, when you're dealing with folks with chronic pain, are you helping them to get off of medications, and are you seeing long-term results from them?
Mm-hmm.
As long as they stick with the program.
Yeah, that is my goal. Right now, a lot of the people that have come to me already have taken themselves off of medication or aren't on medications, have chosen not to go that route. But that would be my goal if somebody is on pain medications, to work with them and work with their doctor so that we can wean them off of those medications and get them to a place where they don't need them. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's one of my goals, is to get off of mine here this year. So. All right, Dr. Max, you got a question there, buddy?
Yes, sir. So, Nina, I am familiar and loving all of the different modalities that you utilize in your practice.
Oh, great, thanks.
My question is, if someone is interested in working with you, are these different modalities a la carte? Can they choose and select what someone would like to work on, or is it more of a like a tuition, one price, get you a certain amount, or how does the business actually work from that perspective?
Yeah, sure. So I will do a la carte, especially as I'm new here and trying to introduce people to myself and what I do and how I do it. Again, what I found though is that if you have a chronic problem, it's going to take some time, and addressing it on all these different levels at the same time will get you the best results and the longest results, right? So I do have a 6-month program where I will take somebody through the process, through different modalities, different service each week, and online tools and things like that, so that they can get the results they're looking for. But if they're not able to do that or not ready to commit to that, then we can do one-off services as well.
Fantastic. All right, Sam, looks like you have your hand up for a great question.
Thanks. Yeah, I was asking some amazing questions today. So Nina, as I hear you talk about all the things you do as a business owner, I'm like, holy cow, how does she do all that? So do you have a staff? Like, what kind of support do you have? I'm sure you could use some more.
I actually don't have any staff. It's just me. I'm a solopreneur. And yeah, right now what I'm finding is I'm spending so much time in the marketing and follow-up, trying to offer lots of things, the classes and the workshops, that I'm, full-time just in marketing, Facebook, Eventbrite, and all these things. So it would be great to have enough clients to be able to pay an assistant to do all that marketing for me, but I'm not there yet.
Soon.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's one of the kind of the entrepreneur pitfalls, isn't it? Is that we tend to, have to do some of this stuff ourselves. So let's look at that. And I'm going to ask the same question I did of Dr. Max is, let's look at a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. Where do you see your business going from a standpoint of clients being served, results, business size? Give us kind of the overall big vision for your business.
Yeah, so in the next year, what I would love to have is a full practice, right, where I have 15, 20 people going through my 6-month program and getting the results they want, maybe staying on for another 6 months to get more results, depending on where their body is, and having the workshops and online events and in-person events to keep people engaged and keep people learning how to take care of themselves so that they can be healthy on their own. And have the money for that assistant.
Fantastic. So, Brandy, looks like you had a follow-up question.
I do. So you're talking about how you don't have the support staff that you need, which means you're the person that does all of this. So talk a little bit about your training and your education, because it sounds like you've had to do quite a bit to get to where you're at now to offer all these different services.
I have, yeah. So as I mentioned in my previous life, I was in corporate America, and I learned how to teach and facilitate classes and workshops. I taught customer service as well as leadership skills, and I taught internationally. I traveled around the world doing classes. And I managed projects as well within that organization. I was the project manager kind of between the IT team and the customer service team. So that really prepared me well, I think, for being an entrepreneur, that I can create my project timelines and goals. And the piece that I wasn't really well prepared for was marketing. And so about 2 years ago now, I joined a business coaching program where I learned more about marketing. And that's actually how I met my now wife. And then as a massage therapist, we have to take continuing education. And I am just one of those people who loves personal development. So I've listened to a lot of books, read a lot of books, taken a lot of classes, weekend retreats and workshops in order to develop myself. But now I use a lot of those tools for my clients as well. So it's something crazy, probably over 600 hours of professional development that I've taken over the last 8-9 years as a massage therapist, to gain that knowledge and that information that I can now share with my clients.
Fantastic.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's exactly what I was asking. Thank you.
Great.
So we have a few more minutes here. So, and I know, again, we talked about you have 2 businesses. Touch a little bit now. You put the real estate on the side. Are you bringing that back now in Colorado Springs? Touch a little bit on that for us so we understand that side of you.
Yeah. So yes, now that I've been in Colorado Springs a little over 7 months now, I'm feeling like I have a foundation of the area and how it works. And so I am starting to get back into the real estate side of things and looking at properties that I could invest in. I know oftentimes the question I get is, you're a massage therapist, what does real estate have to do with massage? And how do you kind of bridge the two? So I'd like to touch on that for a second. I see the real estate side of things being connected to the wellness side of things in two ways. One, it's about creating sacred space, right? And in the wellness side, we create sacred space within to help heal the body. And on the real estate side, we create sacred space in a building as your home space. And so my goal is to buy a property, renovate it so that it's healthy and safe for somebody to move into and sacred for them and perfect for them. Secondly, home is where health starts. So if your home is not healthy, then you are going to have a much harder time being healthy. So the home has to be not only physically healthy, free of mold and things like that, but it also has to be full of love and a place that you love, because if you don't love the place you live, it's going to set off mental and emotional challenges, which will then have physical repercussions down the road. So I really see it as connected to my wellness business. It's just kind of the home side of things. So part of the reason I went into it was for more financial stability, to have a source of passive income. And that's something I still look to do too, but it's also to help people create that wellness all around, from their home to their bodies. So right now I am starting to reach out to the connections I've made over the past couple months with real estate agents, mortgage lenders, contractors, and doing some research online to see what neighborhoods I want to start looking in, and what property prices are in the Colorado Springs area, to see what I need to do to start getting those properties and getting them renovated so that people can have that sacred space in that healthy home.
So very good. So you're an investor is what I'm hearing. Is you're an investor, you're buying properties in terms of flipping them and that kind of thing is what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay, very cool, very cool. All right, we've got time for one more question. Mac, did I see there was something on the Facebook page?
No.
No? All right. Anybody else got a question for Nina before we ask our super question?
I can ask one.
All right, Randy.
How many people have you actually helped? I mean, you've had your business for a while. Do you know roughly, how's your history of patients gone?
Yeah, I estimated at over 300 people. I probably need to update my number now, but yeah, I estimated over 300 people. Yeah. And yes, I also see the best results with the people that don't necessarily do those one-offs, but do a package, and address things really physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Rihanna, I think I saw your hand up to ask our super special question.
Absolutely. Nina, thank you for everything that you do. And I can just feel your healing heart. So that's just inspiring in itself. So how can we, as a Colorado Springs community, help you?
Thank you, Rihanna, for that super special question. There's a couple of things you could do to help me that I would really appreciate. So obviously, I'm looking for direct referrals. If you know anybody who's in pain, or if you're in pain, then please contact me. I would love to offer a free 30-minute, I call it a free 30-minute freedom from pain breakthrough session, where you'll get a mini plan to start you on your journey out of pain. And we can talk about what the best path for you is. If you know any dentists, surgeons, I love working with them to help their patients get out of pain. Really, I would say one of the biggest challenges I have is growing my local list. So most of my Facebook page is still on the East Coast. And while I can do a lot of work remotely, It's a little bit more difficult. You know, I can't do the hands-on work remotely at this moment. So liking my Facebook page, if you're in pain, join my Facebook group. It's Living Pain-Free Holistic Solutions. Share events from my Facebook page. And if you have a place that is looking for speakers, I'm looking for places to give talks that already has an audience, a local audience. And again, it's a great 2-hour talk on how to get out of pain holistically. We give people examples, and every time I've done it, I've had people walk out of that 2-hour workshop in less pain than when they walked in. And of course, I can customize things. It doesn't have to be 2 hours. It can be less. But so if you have a place that's looking for speakers, I would love to talk to you.
Fantastic. Well, folks, we've had 2 great presenters today. You can find their contact information in the Facebook page. And please, if you have any questions, you can still post that in the Facebook page. Our speakers will be watching that thread and can follow up. And I would reach out to these folks. They are trying to get a business up and going and maintain and scale in the Colorado Springs area, which is what we are all about, is to make sure we help the Colorado Springs area. So I thank you very much for everything today. Our speakers, thank you so much for being here and presenting. Dr. Max, Nina, thank you so much. And for everybody that was doing watch parties, mine had almost 40 people on my watch party, so I know we're reaching a wider audience than the Colorado Springs audience. And again, subscribe, watch for the link to subscribe to our email notification. You're going to see some more stuff coming out as we grow. We have some announcements coming up pretty quickly that once we get some things in order, you're going to want to be first to know. So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you so much.